Hello, friends. My name is Lucy. I mostly make content about folklore games and my writing journey. I have been exploring BookTok and BookTube for the last year. I really want to read more books in my genre, so I wanted to make a list of the most anticipated reads for 2026 to motivate myself to complete more things. Last year, I read around 40 books in that year, so this year I definitely want to read more, and I want to read more intentionally. I wanted to feel more excited about horror, fantasy, and grimdark books again, so I based this list on my own interests. Hello, so this is The Poet Empress by Shen Tao. It came out on the 20th of January. The premise is, in the waning years of the Azalea dynasty, the emperor is dying. The land is consumed by famine and poetry magic, lost to all except the powerful. Wei Yin is desperate after the fifth death of a sibling. With her family and village on the brink of starvation, she will do anything to save those she loves, even offer herself as a concubine to the cruel heir of the beautiful and brutal Azalea house. But in a twist of fate, the palace stands on the knife edge of civil war, with Wei trapped in its center, at the side of a violent prince. To survive, Wei must harden her heart, rely on her wit, and become dangerous herself, even if it means becoming a poet in a world where women are forbidden to read, and composing the most powerful spell of all, a ballad of death and love. So I was personally interested in this book because it was supposed to be a mix of one of my favorite books, which is The Poppy War, with something else I don't remember. But I looked at it and I was like, this is like literally what I love reading and writing, so I'm very excited. Hi, so let's move on to the next book. The next book is Graceless Heart by Isabel Ibanez. It comes out on January 13th. The back of the book kind of reads about, in 15th century Volterra, sculptress Ravina Maferi enters a competition hosted by a secretive immortal family who offer an invaluable boon to the victor. Desperate to win so she can save her brother, Ravina reveals a rare magic talent, a dangerous act in a city where magic is forbidden. Her revelation makes her a target, and she is kidnapped by the Looney family and taken to Florence, the city of breathtaking beauty and cutthroat ambition. Here, Ravina is forced into an impossible task, where failure means certain death at the hands of Saturnino de Luni, the family's enigmatic and merciless heir. But under his cold reserve hides a vulnerability that draws her closer than ever intended. Okay, so I was interested in this book because I really like mafia stuff, and this kind of feels like a mix of fantasy and mafia, and also this is the kind of history that I studied in college, so I was really interested in kind of the different, how the historical parts of each city is gonna kind of go into the story. I'm really excited about this one. So on January 20th, Nine Goblins by T. Kingfisher is coming out. The synopsis is, no one knows exactly how the Goblin War began, but folks will tell you that goblins are stinking, slinking, filthy, sheep-stealing, henhouse raiding, obnoxious, rude, and violent. Goblins would actually agree with all this and might throw in cowardly and lazy too for good measure, but goblins don't go around killing people for fun, no matter what the propaganda posters say. And when a confrontation with an evil wizard lands, a troop of 9 goblins deep behind enemy lines, Goblin Sergeant Nasilka must figure out how to keep her hapless band together and get them home in one piece. Unfortunately, between them and safety lies a forest full of terrifying creatures, a human being. So I was interested in this book because it's by one of my favorite authors, who is T. Kingfisher. She wrote a lot of really good horror books, and I'm really excited to see what her take on a more cozy type of setting would be like. So I was really interested in this one. The next book in my anticipated read is The First Step by Tao Wang. It comes out the 10th of March. In this one, Long Wu Ying never expected to join a sect or to become a real cultivator. His days were spent studying, planting rice on the family farm, and spending time with his friends. Fate, however, has different plans for Wu Ying, and when the army arrives at his village, he and many other members of the village are conscripted. Given the opportunity to join the verdant Green Waters sect, Wu Ying must decide between his pedestrian common life and the exciting, blood-soaked life of a cultivator. Join Wu Ying as he takes his first step on his 1,000-li journey to become an immortal cultivator. I was really interested in this book because it's one of my favorite genres to watch as in C-dramas, so it sounded like a C-drama in book form, which is something I'm really excited about. The next book I was interested in is The Book of Fallen Leaves by A.S. Tamaki. This book comes out on the 17th of March. In this one, Sen Hoshiakari is an exiled prince of a clan that lost everything in his father's failed rebellion. Deprived of his birthright, Sen is determined to restore his family's lands and honor at any cost. Rui is a peasant girl who saved Sen's life on the night his father were put to the sword, but now she is adrift and unsure of her place in the world, not knowing that the gods themselves have plans for her. As civil war throws the empire into chaos and demons seek vengeance on the living, Sen and Rui must fight for both of their clans and their shared future, but vengeance demands a bloody price. So this has a lot of different elements that I'm really interested in, but the main reason why I chose this book is because I've been watching a lot of kind of game replays of I watched the Yote 6. It's a video game that is in the same universe as a lot of the samurai games. So I watched that and I really liked kind of the world in that time period. I also watched Shogun and I watched the Blue-Eyed Samurai as well. So I've watched a lot of things that are in this genre, so I was really interested in kind of finding something that was in book form similar to what I've been watching. So the next book is The Girl with 1,000 Faces by Sunyi Dean. It comes out the 5th of May. It is the synopsis is when Mercy Chen washes up on the shores of Hong Kong with no family, no money, and no memories. She was thrust into the horrors of World War II. She only survived by hiding in the Kowloon walled city, an infamous ghost-infested slum full of lost and traumatized civilians. Since the end of the war, she has rebuilt her life and found work with the local triad as a ghost talker, dealing with the angry and bitter spirits who haunt this place. These days, the filthy gutters and cramped alleyways of Kowloon feel like home, but the past she can't remember won't let her go. An unusually powerful ghost has infested Kowloon's waterways, drowning innocents and threatening the district. Unnervingly, it claims to know Mercy and her forgotten childhood. As Mercy is drawn into a cat and mouse game with this malignant spirit, she begins to realize that the monster she fights within these walls may be one of her own making. 33 years before, mere days ahead of the Japanese invasion, Sung Si-yin and her mother flee Hong Kong, intending to hide out on her mother's ancestral island home. It's beautiful, tranquil, and remote, but also inhabited by ghosts since the entire village drowned in a storm many years ago, since it's better than living under occupation. But as the war rages on and isolation sets in, Su Yin is increasingly drawn into the island's grim past, a past that may still have a hold on the present. There is a darkness lurking beneath the idyllic ocean, and it has been waiting many years for someone to return. So I was interested in this book specifically because I'm really interested in folklore right now, and one of the folklores that I have studied the most is probably Chinese and Korean, kind of this type of ghost folklore. So I was really interested in how someone would take it and kind of write it in book form. So I was really interested. It also has a crime background. I also really love watching documentaries of Kowloon Wall City. So I'm really interested in the setting as well as the different kind of ghost and crime elements. So this is the last book. It is Kitten by Stacey Yu. It comes out on the 25th of August. And this one, Katie is far from home and fresh out of college. She's desperate to skirt adulthood's demands and all too willing to let her wealthy boyfriend James make decisions for them both. It doesn't help that she's no longer speaking to her mother, who resents her for leaving Little Rock, or that her roommate has abruptly moved out of their New York City apartment. But when James takes Katie on a vacation to his family's seaside house, he brings Silver, his childhood cat, and Katie discovers a sudden, strange, and giddy sense of connection. Silver doesn't mind that Katie can't seem to get a job, hold her owed at dinner parties, make amends with her mother. Silver, who gets to lie around all day, misbehave spectacularly, be cute, gross, and still gets fed, seems to have the life Katie increasingly longs for. Soon enough, they're inseparable, and sometimes something inside Katie begins to crack open, or maybe just crack. Because if Katie had learned anything from her estranged mother, it is that her devotion comes at a price. As Katie's affection for Silver deepens, all of her other relationships begin to falter. Soon, Katie must confront what it is she desires from her life and what she might have to risk to get it. So I was really interested in this book just because I thought the idea of a girl going crazy just because she loves the cat was really cute, so I wanted to include it as well as part of this list. So those are all the books that I've sorted through for this year. That's around 7 books. I really want to pair a fiction with a nonfiction book from my DIY folklore degree reading list. There are a lot of pairings that made sense, and I'm really happy that these things are all in the same focus area. But that's all it. Bye for now.